Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Maura McCarley Torkelson, and this is the new Inner Tree call. So I've stopped doing the calls on freeconferencecall.com, and I have switched to video now. So we're going to a bit of a shorter format, and I want to welcome you. And it's going to be a little vulnerable here. I'm getting a lesson in letting go this morning. I'm recording this on Zoom now. I tried to record it a different way earlier, and it had no audio. So I'm feeling a bit sad about that because the reading was live. And as of right now, I've already pulled cards for the day, and I'm going to have to now repeat what I said out of the last meeting. So it's not possible to recapture things in the moment, but it is what it is, and I have to be in acceptance about that. So welcome to the call this day after our auspicious day yesterday with the eclipse. And what I want to say is that the cards that I pulled this morning actually echoed. I finally got this morning what the message from the eclipse was because it came up in the cards. And so before we actually get into me showing you the cards that I pulled and redoing the reading, I'd like to just kind of move you into a bit more of a meditative state. And so I'm going to shorten down the version of my meditation for these video calls, and that way they won't be so long. The call was a half an hour, so I'm shortening this down to about 15 minutes or so. And I want to let you know that I will make available on the Facebook page the SoundCloud version of my longer meditation. So for now, let's just settle down into whatever surface that you're on, whether you're on your bed or in a chair. And just allow your body to relax into that surface and feel your feet on the ground. And if it feels safe, like I'm doing, close your eyes. And become aware of your soundscape. So here I can hear the sounds of traffic coming in, the low hum of equipment, that sacred buzzing in my ears. Allowing yourself to surrender and fully embrace what's present to your hearing right now. Now, also become aware of your skin. Feeling all the different textures, clothing, and air, from the tips of your fingers down to the tips of your toes. Feel your breath expanding your body, contracting as you exhale. Becoming aware that the sound of your breath is also part of your soundscape, heard with the inner part of the ear. And as you become more aware, becoming aware of the stillness at your core. Feeling your roots moving all the way to the stillness of eternity. Pulling that up into your body and your being. And I invite you to stay in this awareness as I go into the reading for the day. We receive in a different way when we're in this awareness. And so, as I mentioned, I've already pulled the cards for the day. And I always start with the Fairy Oracle deck. So if you haven't seen it, this is what the backside looks like. It's Brian Froud's Fairy Oracle deck. And the card that I pulled today was the Chalice. Only when I pulled it, it was upside down, which tells me that it's a little conflicted. And as I was looking at this card today, I like to read and see what's present. Every time I look at these cards, it can be a little bit different. And the meaning can be similar, but it can shift. Because like life, we're navigating in the present. And so the meaning today is going to be different from the meaning tomorrow. And yet there's also a core to that. And today what I saw was not just the chalice itself, but the face of a deer, a doe, inside this chalice. And I also saw a being with horns. And the chalice really is the container for everything. But the message that came through was that we humans need to pause and pay attention. Pay attention to the void. So what I had said is that silence is the container for all sound. The void is a container for all form. And we rarely pay attention to that because it's not obvious, it's subtle. We aren't, especially in this culture, well geared to pay attention to the subtle. And yet, we need it. This world needs us to pay attention to that. So this is also the divine feminine in the way that I know her. So I'm a priestess of silence. And silence, she is the void of creation. And all of the other divine feminines were given birth by her. And because she's silence, she's been forgotten. We're so busy all the time. We're always doing something. We're always looking at the form. We're enamored with form. Of course we are. It totally makes sense. Because we can touch it, we can see it. It's much more difficult or challenging the way that we've been trained to notice the subtle. And yet we're doing ourselves into oblivion. So earlier, when I did this reading, I really was in touch with my grief. There's a lot of grief there. And I think it's not just mine. I think it's the grief of the world. I'm an empath, and I feel that. And her grief. Because she needs us as much as we need her. And it really struck me as I was doing this reading that this is one of the meanings of the eclipse. It was visible for us to see the void. So I watched the NASA feed because I wasn't able to go where the eclipse was, but the moon blocked out the sun. Yes, there was the corona of light around there, but what we were witnessing was the void. And it's a reminder for us, pay attention to the subtle. Pause and find that stillness inside you and allow that awareness to be the core of the navigation of your life. Can't state how important it is for us to do this now. I really know deep inside my heart we're at a choice point here. You need to stop doing so much and start being. And more than that, listening deep inside us so we can move in alignment with the void. So I'm going to hold this up one more time. The chalice. And what do you see? So the second card that I pulled comes from the medicine deck. Okay, so it's medicine animal deck. And it's always so interesting to me to see how these cards align themselves together. And what I got was this card. It's a blank. Now in this deck, this card is meant for the owner to fill this in. But I rather like leaving it blank. And the reason for that is because I think that there's a message. And of course, it's the same message. The blank is the womb. It is the void. It also speaks to our power of being able to fill that in with whatever we want. But are we going to go down the path of the ego and fill it in that way? I don't want to demonize the ego. We all have one, and it's necessary for navigating through this world. but we can't let it be the leader. It's also another message for our times in this eclipse. What happens when we allow the ego to lead? We can see that in the world all around us. The ego is kind of like a child. We need to treat it like a child. We need to care for it. And we also need to teach it how to be. And that teacher has to come from a deeper place. That teacher is our alignment with the divine. And we can only align ourselves with the divine when we give it space, when we pause, and when we listen. Pretty profound reminder for the day after the eclipse. Let's use this opportunity to create that shift. So that's it for the call today. You can see my tree of emotions behind me. And I want to remind you that you are a tree and you are rooted in the divine. And your roots are your strength. They support your trunk, your core. And even more than that, they support your branches. Your branches and your buds that meet the world around you. So stay in touch with those roots. And I truly hope you have a beautiful week. Until next week.